So I moved up, just a brief introduction who I am. I moved up here from the city. I grew up there, moved here 31 years ago, and I've been living in Narrowsburg. I was appointed the chair of the Tustin Energy Committee, and that was 9 years ago, believe that or not. And we've accomplished a lot of things. When I grew up in the city in 1970, as a kid, my mother took me to the first Earth Day celebration. I learned about conservation, and I absolutely, from that day on, it's changed my life. And so, you know, I do whatever I can for the town, and we have incredible residents and merchants who are also really great activists, and want to do what they can, even if it's one small thing. Everyone does their part. So for many years during the fracking thing, I illustrated all the dangers of fracking with vintage figurines and posed them, and now I'm doing that with climate change as well. So that one's called Displaced Polar Bears. That'll be in the slideshow, and Denier and the Whistleblower. So those are illustrations, and I show them all around the world. Had a big show at a museum in Toronto. That was exciting. So I just wanted to show you now the interconnected results of polluting the planet with these emissions. So we have a slideshow. So that's one of my pieces. It clearly is about the penguins, and you know, there's the polar bears, and what do they do when this changes. This one is called Displaced Polar Bear. And imagine the polar bears have no ice. You know, you're changing their environment. So what happens when the waters rise? All right, this is a schematic of Florida in the future. What happens to all these residents? But there are climate refugees from people who can't afford that, and they lose everything. So there's a lot at risk here. Again, if you're a Republican or Democrat, flooding knows no party. This is, somebody put this out there, and it's pretty intense if you're from New York City, you know, and they're thinking about building a wall around Manhattan. Well, okay, good luck with that, but I don't know that that's going to work, because nature always wins. You know, how big a wall you can do, and it has to be perfectly sealed? Like, I don't even understand that, but, all right, so the next problem is the air pollution that, you know, these factories emit. We all breathe, so we need to, that's one of my things called canary culture. And basically, you know, we're the experiment, and you know, people are dying from breathing issues, and kids are getting asthma earlier in ages. And again, I'm all about health, and that's pretty much a huge concern to me. Let's see. This is, as I said, this is a Whistleblower and the Denier. This is really heavy stuff, so a lot of people don't want to deal with it. They do deny it and would rather watch some mindless television than, I understand that. It's really heavy stuff, and it can be pretty depressing. I'm working on it all the time, and it can get to you. I think this, for me, the solution is trying to do things that are good for the environment. So constantly I'm doing stuff like that and trying to spread the word. So you've seen that increased atmospheric pressure is creating more frequent and intense tornadoes. I mean, you know, I don't know you guys, but our house was hit by a tornado a couple of years ago in 2018 up here in Narrowsburg. And so the whole community had hundreds of trees down. It was horrible. And you'll see it across the West. But when do we have tornadoes here? I mean, this is new. New Jersey has tornadoes now. I don't remember that when I was a kid, but I think we all have to kind of really be mindful of what's going on. That one is Nick used for the show. It's called Another Approaching Tornado. And I use these figurines because, one, they're kind of nostalgic. People know them because they're all vintage and they have some kind of a connection. And it kind of tells a story in a really simple, profound kind of way. At first it's like, oh, like then they realize this horrible reality and it kind of sinks in. But at least it gets people's attention. We've all seen the flooding, the hurricanes, the warmer oceans, and all this atmospheric pressure that's just going to be more extreme. The fires are you know, happening in Australia right now, and it's pretty horrific. You know, that is climate change on live TV. I mean, you can't get away from that. You look at, you know, the koala bears, they'll probably be extinct because of this event. So this is really bad. And drought, all these extreme things, either too much water and flooding, or extreme drought and drying of forests, and they catch on fire, and then the tornadoes and the hurricanes. So health effects. So unfortunately, with the heat come more ticks and mosquitoes, who are also carrying all these diseases now. And so there's a lot at stake here. As I said, the domino effect, you know, this heat is really not good for the equation that is our life right now. And then they say like 1 million animal and plant species are currently at risk of extinction. I mean, that's heavy duty too. All right, across the planet, our country, you can see there's all these different health effects. Again, I've just kind of gone through it, even mental health, because this stuff is heavy and it's depressing. And I don't know if any of you guys have kids, that's tough, kids and grandkids. You know, this is their future, and I think we should be responsible for what we're doing for them. In terms of the fish, that used to be, you know, it is a food source, but a lot of fish are dying because it's getting warmer, or you see sharks now on the shores, or, you know, everything is getting, you know, confused because it's not natural, and it's something we should be paying attention to. That one I called doomed frogs, and again, if you pay attention to the little things, like when I take hikes and stuff and someone says, there used to be trillium all over here, now there's no more trillium, or there's no more, you know, lady slippers or whatever, or no more frogs. You should pay attention to that, because those are signs that, you know, things are changing and they're becoming extinct or hard to find. So in Narrowsburg, this year we hired, I don't know if everybody's seen this mural on the post office, it's awesome. So Narrowsburg pooled some money and hired a mural artist named Matt Willey, and he's an art activist. And he basically wants to inform people how important the bees are to our, you know, our food pollination. And unfortunately, the bees are not migrating to warmer climates. They don't do that. They're not programmed to do that. So they're dying. And they're also, the heat is also making mites and parasites grow even more, and they're attacking the beehive. So they're really in trouble. So this guy is, and like me, is an art activist, using his art form to inform people and engage in conversation. When he's painting, he's talking to people, and he does it all around the country. And in a healthy hive, there's 50,000 bees, and he wants to paint 50,000 bees across this country. And he's well on his way. It's actually, after he did his mural, he fell in love with Narrowsburg, and he's moving to Narrowsburg. Believe it or not. He's the greatest guy. You should meet him. So this is some of the soft plastic I've been collecting, bringing it the back of Weiss and in Honesdale. And you should see the mountain of soft plastic. This is just like one carload. I'm bringing this 2-3 times a week, and it's really satisfying. I just love the response. That's the bench that Trex gave us on our deck. The deck's made of sustainable wood. This is some of our accomplishments with the Tustin Energy Committee. So we saw the plastic bag ban coming in March 2020 in New York. There's a plastic bag ban, which is great, because when you see the bags in the trees, they're never going to break down, except if they break down into small pieces, then animals eat them and they get sick. So we have to get rid of the plastic bags. There are solutions like hemp bags or recycled bags I designed this bag that every household in Tustin got, to introduce them to get comfortable with having that in your car and going into the supermarket, filling up your groceries and using it over and over and over and wearing it with pride. And I do, so let's see. So this is a cool new thing. This is the solution part of the lecture, by the way. So we decided, there's one person on our committee who's a waste management specialist. Her name's Jennifer. And anyway, so I might as well talk to the people in the back too. So she decided to apply for a grant for our committee for $138,100, and she got the grant. So we're going to be buying something like this, And you take all your food scraps, and I'm talking about even meat and bones and fish and, you know, fruit, vegetable, everything that you would eat, and you put it into the hopper twice a week. We're gonna have people volunteer to operate that. We have like 3 or 4 people already who signed up to do that. And they feed it in, and it self-runs. And basically, it breaks down the food. It's anaerobic, no oxygen in the unit. And that way bears don't smell it, and no animals will go near it. It'll be parked up next to our solar array, first in the country to do so. It's very exciting. And then at the end product will be fertilizer in the form of, we can do either flakes or liquid. And the people who contribute to it will probably have access to that fertilizer as a product. So basically, 40% of our food in this country is wasted, thrown in the, you know, the landfill. And so we thought, let's interrupt that. That'll probably be in July. Let's see. Okay, so this thing is called the HORSE because it's an acronym for High Solids Organic Waste Recycling System with Electrical Output. As well as the liquid fertilizer, it also collects biogas, which can power this. So the whole thing is kind of it's called the circular economy. You use fertilizer from food to make more food. You take that food, you make the fertilizer. It just keeps going in this circle, and there's no waste. That's what's so great about it. Actually, Tustin is like carbon neutral now because I think the next slide is because we have a solar array, and we're the first town in Sullivan County to have a municipality solar array. It powers all our town town-owned buildings and facilities, and includes the town hall. We're changed to energy efficient lights inside and outside the building. Also now we're renovating the bathrooms with energy efficient, you know, toilets and sinks and all that stuff. So every opportunity to upgrade, we go this energy efficient route. So after 8 years, and I had met Jen Metzger when she was a councilwoman 8 years ago, and she gave the opportunity to small towns to change over to LED streetlights. The highway department, water and sewer department, and the facilities. So we're really proud of that. We have 111 streetlights in our town, and in the spring we're the first town in Sullivan County to have 100% LED streetlights coming. And that took 8 years of work because it's not easy to do all these kind of, you know, you have to do so much data collection and figuring out, you know, how to transfer over to buy your lights from your utility was a wrestling match with NYSEG, but I'm relentless, so that just happened recently. We just signed.
Thankfully.
Yeah, we just closed that, Jill. I don't know if you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, so we closed with NYSEG. Now we own our streetlights, and we'll be changing it over. We'll have some decorative ones on Main Street, but Cobra heads is what these are called, and they'll be all over the town. I would be remiss if I didn't mention wind power. I mean, that's another way to go too. For me, all these sustainable ideas for energy is also going to create lots of jobs that are healthier than coal. Basically, my conclusion is that there's a lot of things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint. You know, being mindful. If you're really mindful about it, it's kind of important. And if you ever want to deposit your soft plastic, Tustin is accepting them from anywhere. Again, with Trex, they allow us to have, if you collect 500 pounds in a 6-month period, we collect it in 5 weeks period, then they stop counting. Then in February it gets to start again, and once we get 500, they give us another bench. So we'll have benches all over the town, and that's my plan. They'll all be all different colors. So basically, there's no Planet B, and not to forget that it's green, not red or blue.
Well, congratulations to you and Tustin.
Yes.
Thank you.